There are two other callers on the call.
The server carrier charges extra. You should have
The same thing.
Yeah.
The same thing.
Let me see.
Yes. Fine. All right, guys. So there are a few requirements for us for today. Okay, so these requirements are for our health insurance application. Okay, and the application main functional, I mean, we are going to deal with the e-billing functionality of that particular application. Okay, and okay, hope they are not able to see. All right. So the requirements of this particular e-billing application, like if someone wants to have a login, I mean, if someone wants to use their e-billing application, first they have to log in into that particular application. So in order to log in into a particular application, what do you think is mandatory?
User credentials.
User ID.
User
User
ID
ID.
and password.
Then what else? What else is most important for us to
You like internet connections?
that
You have to sign up first.
sign up? Okay, assume that you have a credentials created by the carrier. Then what do you need to have? Like you get an email that your account credentials are created, and within that email you'll be having something else.
Well, a link to
What's
your
that link?
Yeah.
Alright. Now, even though you have your user credentials created, your link should work properly.
Yeah.
Right. If at all your link doesn't work, then there is no point of you entering the credentials. Like you'll not be having any screen or any place where you enter your credentials. Right. So these requirements will start with the URL of that particular application. The application URL is ebilling.com. Okay. See that user has to log into e-billing application using valid credentials. So in order to log in, he should be seen with he should be having a URL. So URL is ebilling.com. That is you're testing the URL functionality. So what are we trying to do? Whenever we hit the URL, we have to be seen with the login page of that particular application, like e-billing application here. Now, why we have to test that particular application URL functionality? Because there can be a chance that server may get down. If server breaks down, then you'll be seen with a message stating that internal server error or whatever the error is. Page cannot be displayed or page does not exist. You can see different kind of messages if URL is not working properly. Alright. So that is why your first test will be mainly concentrated on your first URL. Alright, ebilling.com. Once that is done, when you hit a URL, you see a page, you'll be seen with some content. Right? Don't worry, I'll send you this. I'll send you entire this. Right? Fine. Now you'll be seen with the entire content of that particular page. Alright. For our requirements, the contents are like we need to have a e-billing logo. And they have specified on the left of the page. I mean, it should be on your left side of that particular page. Right? Welcome to e-billing system text. This was welcome to e-billing. This is the message that needs to be displayed under your e-billing logo. Okay? And login box should be on the right hand side of that particular page. When you say login box has got a content as well. I mean the fields. Within the login box, you have username, password, submit button, and what else? Forgot password link. Yeah, forgot password link. Alright, so these are the high level inputs or the inputs for our e-billing application. Okay, now we'll just concentrate on this. Once we are good with this, we'll dig deeper into it. Okay. Now within this because there is no browser, right? I did not mention the browser, so we'll take that input later on. Okay, where it is. It's a good point, but the browser is not mentioned here. Okay, so I did not say that this application is best suited for browsers like Chrome or Internet Explorer. I did not give any kind of requirement order. I just gave a URL. It has to be a web application URL. That's it. Okay. For now, we are not going to do the browser compatibility testing. Okay. Now, with these particular requirements, what are the possible scenarios that you feel for testing?
Possible scenarios.
What are the possible scenarios? What are your different approaches that you can carry or that you'll be following in order to test these set of requirements?
Usually correct.
No, we are not talking about anything. It's a see. Are these requirements talking about any validation other than this one? eBilling.com is a validation URL because you perform an action, you see an outcome. That means you give eBilling.com in the address bar and you hit the enter button, you'll be able to see the application launching. Right? So you're doing an action, as a result, you'll be seeing an output. These things, the second set of requirement, do you have any actions performed on it? Is it talking about any actions here?
No.
It's specifying the content, GUI content, UI or GUI, graphical user interface content or user interface content that needs to be seen within this particular page. Okay. Now, whenever we are testing, what we have to ensure that we have to ensure the graphical user interface is also tested properly. Okay, so that means our first test will be concentrated on URL and the second test will be concentrated on this GUI. Okay, like what do I mean by that? Whenever you hit the URL, you should be seen with the application. Next, what does your application should contain? According to our requirements, the application should contain the eBilling logo, this welcome text message, and the username box, in which the username should have all these particular things. Alright? So all these things needs to be tested. Now, when doing these particular testing activities or to test these particular activities, what we'll do is we'll make a documentation. Right? The steps that we follow in order to test all these particular requirements, we draft them in a documentation, and that documentation is nothing but our test case documentation. Alright, whatever the testing activities that we carry out in testing a particular requirement, we document them, we draft them, and we call them as our test cases. And within the test cases, we'll be including all the positive scenarios and all the negative scenarios. Clear? Right? So first, what we'll do is we'll write the simple test cases for this set of requirements. Then we'll go deep into the requirements where we'll cover all the things like positive and negative scenarios. Now here, do we have any negative scenarios here? Can we see any negative scenarios here? Any negative scenarios?
There is no asterisk, no thing. It's just a fixed
Statutory
right requirement.
Because eBilling.com, the correct functionality is you have to see a page.
Yeah.
If at all something goes wrong, you'll be seeing all this. But I'm not talking about any other thing, right? It's not showing this particular what do you say? Action doesn't have two set of inputs, two set of requirements. Yeah. It has only got one set of requirements, so you'll be moving straight forward.
Yeah.
Whenever you hit eBilling.com, your eBilling application should be launched. Okay. If at all you see an error message, that is because of your internal server error, web application not working out, you find out two errors. All the error messages that are displayed with 500 and 400 are nothing but application not working. You're right, your application is kind of message. So what we'll do is we'll write the test cases for this, and then we'll move forward with the next set of requirements. Okay. And the possible fields are the important fields that we need to maintain in writing the test cases. Now, test cases can be written in a tool and in an Excel sheet as well. Okay, it can be written in a tool and it can be written in an Excel sheet. Right. There are various tools in the market where you're going to make all your test cases ready. All right. For now, what we'll do is we'll learn with the Excel sheet. Then we'll implement this on a tool. Okay. Now, when writing the test cases within an Excel sheet, the important fields are test case ID. Right. So what is this particular test case ID? Test case ID is the unique identifier of each and every test case. Like a roll number or an admission number for a student, this test case ID is a unique identifier for that particular test case. No two students will have the same admission number or the roll number, right? Same is the case. No two test cases should have the same test case ID. Give a name to that particular test case. When I say name, say what are you going to test within that particular test case. Okay. Now describe about that particular test case. Description. Right. Describe that particular test case. All right. Now the steps that you follow in testing that particular test case. All right. What are the steps that you're going to follow? All right. Expected result. What is your expected result out of each and every step? What is your actual result? And then the status. Sorry. Okay. And then the status. These will stand as the important fields in writing a particular test case. Alright. So first, let's go with our few set of requirements that we have seen here. Okay. Now, test case ID, as I said, it's a unique identifier. It varies from organization to organization. They can go from serial numbering like 1, 2, 3, or they can follow their own standards depending on the project. Okay. Now here, I'm going to mention it as EBL 001. It indicates that e-billing 001. My requirements are corresponding to e-billing application. So I'm making a standard criteria to identify all my test cases corresponding to e-billing application. So EBL 001. For the first case, what are we trying to test here? First, what are we trying to test? We are trying to test the URL, e-billing URL. All right. So URL validation. I gave a name as URL validation. So what do you get when you see the test case name as URL validation? That means the test case, the steps that is followed within this particular test case will be doing a validation on the URL. Okay. Now, give a description of that particular test case. So this test case is to test the URL functionality. So you can give the URL link here. Okay, what is the URL that you're going to test? You can give that. All right. And what are the steps that you have to follow here to test that? Log into?
You don't need to log in, you just take the link and then just type in the browser. Go to the browser.
First, go to the browser. This is a link. You can open the links within a browser. So, open any browser. I am saying it as any browser because my requirement did not specify that this link should work only on that particular browser. Alright, I'm just going with open any browser. So either it can be your Firefox or your Safari, Opera, Chrome, IE, irrespective of it. Okay, open any browser. So what is your expected result?
The link works
corresponding to the step.
The browser opens, browser doesn't open.
Yes. Browser should open successfully, whatever it is. Okay, then okay, fine. So the second step out of it. Now what we have to do?
Type.
Enter the URL ebilling.com in the address field and hit enter button or hit enter, whatever you. All right. Now what should happen?
It will open up the page, home page.
Login page,
Yeah.
not the home page.
Okay.
Home page is seen when you log in into that particular application. Login page is seen when you hit the URL. Okay, so user should be displayed with the login page. Simple, done. First test case done. All right. Now I'm not going to record actual result. Why? I will not record any actual result. Why am I not recording the actual result? I just gave the steps. I just gave the expected result. I'm not recording the actual result.
You are 100% sure that's
Wrong.
because we've not done it yet.
Perfect. We have not validated it. We are just writing the test cases based on the requirements. We do not have any handy application. Now, when you do not have any handy application, what do? You write these particular test cases. You do not document the actual result. You do not document the status. Right? You do not document the status and you do not document the actual result, because you do not have any handy application. You are going to execute the same test cases that you have written when a developer delivers an application. That means you're going to validate them. For now, you're going with the requirements and you're making sure that your test cases are ready with that particular requirements. Okay, so this is first one done. Second one, EBL02. I have validated the URL. Now what do I need to do? Now the second requirement here, you see, it is talking about the content, right? The content that you need to see, or the content that should be seen within that particular login page when it is launched. All right. So second test case is all about
Logo validation or just content validation?
Content validation or UI validation. What UI validation? Login page UI validation. All right. If I say just UI validation within an application, you can have n number of pages applied, displayed. Sorry. Right. It can be your home page. It can be your reports page, payments page, login page. So if you clearly give that particular name, then it's very easy to identify as what it is all about, right? So this test case is to check the UI elements within the login page. It is not necessary that you have to follow the same English over there, okay?
Yeah.
You can describe in your own words. Test cases, you can describe in your own words. Okay, now the question to everyone. All right, so what should be my steps here? What are my steps?
So assuming that you're already in the page, right?
Yeah. Will you assume it?
No, you just physically see it.
We'll write what is there in the login page.
Okay.
Just like user ID is, we can see user ID option, we can see password option, we can see whole
Fields.
This
What should be my first step within this particular second test case? Whatever you said is correct.
Go to the top of the page and see the logo and.
No.
the page appears.
Page appears. Okay. Okay. All you say, whatever you said, these falls under this step 2.
Okay.
I'm asking about step 1.
Can you go back to the requirement page?
That has nothing to do here.
It triggers. You know.
This has nothing to do to give that particular answer. Simple, logical thinking. Okay. Now, I write the test cases, but you may execute my test cases, or you both may execute my test cases. And when distributing the test cases, we do not follow any particular order. You may get number 1, you may get number 2, you may get number 3, 4, 5. Now you may get number one. Number one is talking about launching that particular URL. She may get number two. If you say directly verify the UI elements.
I see what you are.
Right. If I say directly UI elements.
Yeah.
So what UI elements? What do you say? What page UI elements are you trying to verify? Already you gave login page UI validation. How are you driving to login page? Assume that she is very new to this particular project. How she will be known to that? Right. So instead of that, what you do is describe those two steps in a single liner, saying that launch the e-billing application. Simple, right? When I say launch the e-billing application, that means I'm gonna enter my URL. Or what we can do, I can insert one more column saying that precondition. Precondition in the sense, the condition that needs to be satisfied to test this particular test case. So what I can do, I can cut this and I can say here, e-billing application should be launched. This is the precondition. If this precondition is met, then I can go with entire validation of that particular test case. Making sense? You can go with the precondition statement, or you can say launch the e-billing application. It's your own way of your representation. Clear? Any questions? All right. So what I'll do, first I'll remove this. This might be confusing for you first. So what I'll do, launch the e-billing application. So user should see the login page. See here, in the first step I said in a different way. In the second test case, I'm saying the things in a different way. It's in your own words. Okay. Verify the UI elements of the login page. Or let's say we'll split the things. Verify the logo and positioning of e-billing. Alright, so what is the logo? Logo should be e-billing logo. Alright, should be present on the left side of the page. Alright, now verify the welcome text and its position. Welcome to e-billing system should be present under the e-billing logo. All right. Likewise, fourth one. Verify the positioning of login box. Where should we see the login box? Login box should be on the right side of the page. Okay, now what we have to verify? Verify the content of the login box. So what you need to see within the content? Login box should have below content. Alright, you should be having username. The nature of username is text entry box. So what do I mean by text entry box? Is it not visible?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
No.
Fine. Right. Now, right, username, text entry box. So what do I mean by text entry box? Text entry box in the sense a field where you can input the text, input your data, right? First name, whenever you see or open your Facebook, you see username, where you enter your username. So that is nothing but your text box, where you enter your data. All right. So then you have your password. It's again your text entry box. Text entry box or text box, one and the same. Don't get confused, okay? Submit. Button. Forgot password. Link. We are done. Any questions? Clear? Perfect? Everyone perfect?
Quick question.
Yes.
So when you talk about checking the logo and the welcome line and everything, so you were checking against a set of requirements, or you have something in hand, right? That's given by a business analyst or with the
Perfect. You're going to have your SRS and BRD documentation with the help of
the logo, the color combination, everything.
Everything.
It should be okay.
Yeah, everything should be there. Okay, perfect. Done. Are the requirements clear? First question. Are the requirements clear to you? Do you have any questions within this particular requirement?
Yeah, I think we have something there.
What? What we have to add?
Can you go back to that page? So when you forgot password link, you're supposed to put like the forgot password link should be able to open up.
We are not testing any functionality of the links, right? Any functionality of the UI elements. We are testing only the UI elements of it. It's an element for us now. We are not testing the forgot password link functionality. When I say I'm testing the forgot password link functionality, I click on it and see whether it is navigating me to another page or not. Now I'm not talking. These requirements are not talking anything about it. All right, let's concentrate only on these particular requirements and let's figure out whether the requirements given to us are perfect or not. Just go through the steps, the expected result and the actual, our test steps and the expected results against these particular requirements. And can you come up with a point which is not described? Main things. Think. That is what you think on that particular requirements. The reason why I give time is it gives you time to think. Just think or try to assume any application that you have opened so far. Either it can be your Facebook or whatever it is.
Is the submit button working on it?
I'm not talking about working functionality, static elements. Elements. Sorry? No, I'm not.
Quick question.
Yes.
Do you see everything, the content? When the page is, if all the contents visible directly, or you have to scroll up and down?
No.
Oh, I see. It says it should be on the left. It doesn't say top or bottom.
Perfect. Did I say are the requirements talking about any positioning of the logos and the boxes? No. Any application, will there be any application which has got logo at the bottom?
Hardly any.
Hardly any. but there can be a possibility.
Yeah.
So you should never assume the things. As a test engineer, you should never assume the things. We are testing it. Yes, there should be a purpose of our testing. Why are we asking this particular question? Where do you want that particular position of the logo? Do you want on the left top corner or left center of the page or the middle of the page? Where? You need to define that one as well. Making sense? Right? Now the requirements are not proper, right?
Yeah.
So with what we have come this? Now, I thought we should have covered this, or we should have got this particular question when we are writing the test.
Yeah.
See here, I said login box should be on the right side of the page. Where right side? Everything you see from top to bottom on the right side, but where exactly the position is? Are the requirements giving you? No. So, if you consider our V model, there I was figuring out when writing the test cases, we'll be able to do a verification. Making sense? Now I'm writing the test case. Now I'm coming up with a question where exactly the position is. Now what should I do? What should I do when I have a question?
You ask the BA.
What? Yeah, before asking BA, I'll do one activity.
You document it.
What is that documentation called?
RCN.
Perfect. I'll document the RCN. I'll make the RCN a point, or I'll make a point within RCN saying that where should be the position of logo.
Yeah.
Where should be the position of login box? It's, I mean, do you want the login box on the middle side, mid of the page, on the right corner or left corner? Where? Need that, right? So this is the thing that is missing on it. Okay, fine. All right. So these test cases are giving you the these requirements are giving you information about that particular static element. Okay. Now let's go one step below. All right. Now go through these particular requirements and let me know if you have any questions. The one that I'm highlighting here, under this asterisk within this. Go through this. Meanwhile, I'll get some water for you.
I'm just saying that you can do that. Put this here. Enter here. Where text.
Okay. Like this. Okay.
Clear? These are about your validation, okay? Login validation. Okay. Yeah. Any questions within this?
So on the first one, there's no maximum character.
Okay.
Username.
Okay. Apart from that?
That is why there's no the register. You will have account or not? You will have account or not?
Assume that you got your created your account created. You have an account. Whatever the career that you use, they create the account for you. You are not required to create it. Okay, that's it.
So, I remember I said the first question, the combination of and special characters. It's supposed to put IE type of characters, so there are billions of type of characters. So you should give like
When I say special characters, everything is
everything.
Yes.
Of
course, whatever you see on your keyboard, all these are nothing but your special characters. Any one of them. All right, everything is perfect. Can we progress ahead?
So when it says character, it doesn't mention about uppercase and lowercase. It doesn't.
These requirements are sticking to only that. This user wants that functionality.
Okay.
All right, we are good to go. All right.
Are you saying it's not necessary to add?
You don't want users to what do you say, have a complex username or a complex password. Then whatever he say, okay, fine, I'm okay with any of these, unless it is not allowing to access the application. He may come up with that particular answer, right? The user, or he may say, okay, fine, I'll go with you.
Because, for example, I was trying to log into eBay, right? And then anytime you try to put in your password, it tells you must put at least one special character.
It all depends on the user.
Yeah,
it all depends on the user. Okay, you may have one set of requirement. I may have another set of requirements. See here, I say sign in. My username, you see, everything is in small characters. They did not ask me to give in capital letters, or they did not ask me to give only characters or nothing. When creating an account, I saw that username should be a combination of your characters and then numbers. So what did I do? I gave my username as Durga210. Alright? I did not give any special character over there because they clearly gave that username should be having that. Password complexity. It is not necessary that everyone should be going with the same thing. Not all 5 fingers are alike. Simple policy. Alright. Facebook may have one particular criteria. Alright. Banking applications may have one particular criteria in giving the password.
So you're saying it's not necessary to ask them what the limitations are?
BA would be asking that. BA would be asking as what kind of a limitation that you want to put on the password. How complexity you want to create the password to be.
And they would have given us all that.
Yeah, they will give him the, yes. That is what he will be giving with the SRS documentation, right? Which will be having all this particular information. Okay?
For the user, it should be minimum of 6.
Okay.
Minimum of 6. So there is no 6 characters, 6 numbers. It's just combination of.
Username should be combination
Okay. Now here, generally they don't give a specification for username. Okay, they don't give a specification of a username. The general rule that they follow is they follow a minimum length that is mandatory for them. Okay, a username should be minimum of 6 or minimum of 5, but they don't define a maximum interval for it. Very few will be defining the maximum interval for the username. Now, the concept is clear, right? All these 3 points are clear, right? Now, how are we going to test this? What are your test cases? Can the combination of username be any of the character and number of? There is minimum of. There is no limit in such case. What is the max of username? Max is not defined in these requirements. It doesn't state about the size, color. No, these requirements are not talking about anything. Okay, for now, we'll look at the functionalities of it. That's it. When going deep into that, we'll look at that. Okay. Now, what are the test cases for this? You're going to test the login functionality now. What are the test cases?
So, login validation.
Have you read this entirely?
Yeah.
You read this entirely? What is the flow that we have? Give me the flow. Give me the entire flow. What do we have here? What is the flow we have here?
So first you go to a browser, right?
That is right. I'm talking about the login functionality itself.
Username.
Username. Okay. Then
Password.
Then
Login.
first there is a decision that is taking place.
Yeah.
What is that decision? What is the decision? The decision is whether your username and password is correct. Right? If this is correct, Y. Y indicates yes. User login or home page to be displayed, whatever it is. Because he tried his details correctly, so he'll be seen with the home page details. If not correct, there you go. That is why I asked you to read that. Is username or password blank? You see this, the requirements. If invalid credentials, he or she should be prompted with invalid credentials message. Then I gave one more thing. If any of the fields are left blank, that means username and password are left blank. Right. If you are checking it, let's say this is no, then here it would be invalid credentials. If yes, then mandatory fields. That is why going through your requirements is very, very. The flow has got three different things. When you provide valid credentials, you'll be. Your credentials are invalid. Then it will check for a null value. I mean, not okay for now. Blank value. When I say blank, you have not given anything. When I say null, you did not provide anything with it. Alright. It checks for the nulls within these two fields. If at all it is null, then it gives this one. Please fill mandatory details. Else this message. So the negatives condition has got two different scenarios here. So when I say negative condition, even your blank inputs can be your negative condition. Right? The other set of negative conditions would be, what are the other set of negative conditions?
Invalid.
Right. So let's try this. What are your valid inputs now? Look at that requirements and tell me your possible combinations of valid inputs.
One.
A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, 1. Right. That is valid for me. Why it is valid? It is greater than 6 and having characters plus numbers. That is valid for me. Alright. Likewise, invalid. A, B to Z. Without numbers. It is invalid because no N. I mean, no numbers. Then another set of invalid inputs.
Less than 6.
Less than 6. A, B, C, D, 1. Right, it's 5, which is less than 6. This will become an invalid input. Another invalid input.
Space on his
ABC 1.
ABC to Z, no number.
A, B, C, space 5. Even this is an invalid input. Why? Space is a special character.
But there could be many invalid entries.
Many invalid entries in the sense?
Well, the thing is, there will be a whole lot of combinations that you can give that has characters less than 6. And it's still, do not satisfy the two parameter minimum 6 combination.
Okay, you take this input. Tell me what are your possible things.
Or he can just like type
You tell me whatever you want. How many inputs you can give?
ABC, just ABC,
ABC,
AV,
AV.
XY.
XY.
Only the number.
So,
What are you achieving with this?
The-
What are you achieving with this?
you are using your distorted testing method.
Yeah.
Not destructive. I say it's not destructive, but you're making yourself exhausted. You're making yourself exhausted. The simple point. Try with 5. 1 less than your limit.
Yeah.
That means if that is not working out, it is obvious that it will not work out for anything less than 5. So why do you want to exhaust yourself?
No, I'm not trying to exalt myself, but I'm saying that there could be a whole lot of.
There could
Yeah.
be. There could be.
Yeah.
But what is your valid out of there could be? It would be only one. Pick only one. That is meeting this criteria of 1 less than your limit. That will keep you safe. You will not be exhausted. You are not required to repeat the same test case again and again. That will save your time and efforts. Okay? So this is the one. Now another invalid input.
Only the number.
Perfect. Only the numbers. Another invalid input.
5 numbers and 1 characters. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, A.
Not a problem. I'm getting it. I'm getting a number and as a character.
Yeah, good.
You're good.
Whatever the capital letter, there is no problem.
The requirement did not specify anything.
You don't
else.
say uppercase or lowercase.
Then
Another thing is a strong or weak. Sometimes you have to say.
we are not checking this one.
Okay.
Blank.
Blank.
Blank is also my invalid input.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alright. Blank is also my invalid input. Now the point here is I'm trying to concentrate on exhaustive now. When you do not have any upper interval defined, you have only a lower interval.
Yeah.
When I say lower interval, the minimum things that are required. When you have only that, take these as the inputs. L minus 1 in the sense, a limit
Lower.
minus 1. Whatever, lower limit or whatever it is. Okay, limit minus 1, limit, and limit plus whatever the count that you wanted to, whatever the input that you wanted to. Okay, these 3 inputs will give these 2 as valid conditions and this one as invalid. Right. So according to our situation, this is 6, this is 5, and this is 11. 6 and 11 would be valid, whereas 5 would be invalid. Apart from that, for your invalid, repeat the things for your characters, for your numbers, because they are talking about it should be a combination of characters and numbers. So combination of characters and numbers, so you'll get another 2 inputs for it. So this is one input, combination of only characters, this would be another input, numbers would be another input. 3 inputs for your invalid situation. Another invalid would be your blank.
4 total.
4. So you are going to run this particular test case for 4 number of times for invalid username. Alright? Likewise, same is the case with your password. Alright? So password here, in the case of our password, we have a range defined. Right? A lower boundary and upper boundaries are defined. So what can be our possible inputs? 8 and 15. We have 8 and 15. So what can be our possible inputs now?
Password.
Valid inputs.
Yeah.
Possible valid inputs. Give me within this particular range.
Password 1.
Okay, I'm talking about the ranges and length of that particular password.
Between 8 and 15.
Between 8 and 15. So will you repeat 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15?
No.
Do not exhaust yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll just
Take one,
take one.
take lower boundary, take an upper boundary. Choose one value in between this for your confirmation. If you do not choose a value in between also, it will work because If it works for 8, if it works for 15,
then it should work in
definitely it will work in between. Okay? So it is up to you. Either you want to go with a confirmation by choosing a value in between or not. But when you want to test it negatively, go with 7 and 16. Why these are necessary? These are the extremes of your lower limit and an upper limit. So whenever a user is provided with this particular length of the password or with this particular length of the password, he or she should be seen with a message saying that invalid credentials. Okay. Apart from that, take a blank input. Okay. And make your combinations for your negative testing. What are your combinations? Only characters. Alright? Only numbers. Alright? Only special characters. Alright? Characters plus numbers. Special characters plus numbers. Characters plus special characters. Done.
7.
Okay? Wherever there is a requirement, you have to go with this particular combination. Okay? I'll not be exhausting the things. I'm not repeating the same with one special character to another special character. I'm just following a special character. If at all a special character is not allowed, we should not allow for any of the special characters. I'll not go with all the set of special characters. It is your own desire.
So that will be 7, 8, 9 total, 9 possible.
Yes.
Yeah.
So these are
3, 4, 5, 6, 7,
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Yeah.
We don't check the correct one.
And a value in between. These are valid. He's talking about invalid.
Just invalid.
Okay. So this is how your testing will be moving forward. So the best thing, whenever you get a requirement and whenever the requirement has got wings, when I say wings, a kind of decision that is made. Now here, the login has got a decision. It has got wings. A direction one word, a direction other word. If positive, if it happens in a positive manner, it will take this path, if not this path. Now, if you understand it, try to portray a diagram in this way. Okay, this will give you. Or else, try to refer to your LLD, low level design documentation. The low level design documentation will have this information. They'll be giving you with a flow graphs. If you're working on a manual testing project, okay, if you're working on an application that is built, then if you have an LLD, LLD will have the flow graph. When I say flow graph, it says where is the point of entry and what are the things that are going to happen in between, how are you going to exit that. You'll be having the entire flow. Okay, clear? So can we make the test cases now? Yes. Now tell me, how many test cases will we be making for this? For this requirement, how many test cases can we make? For this requirement, the requirement that you see on the board, I mean there on the screen, how many test cases can we make?
4.
What are those?
So the first one is username validation.
Okay, perfect. 100% true.
The second one is password validation.
Okay, I thought in a different way. When you say username validation, assume that this is my login box, and this is my username, and this is my password.
Oh, I see.
Submit button.
It's one setup.
And a forgot password link. Forgot password. This is a link for me. This one setup for me. The requirements are not saying that the validation is done at the field level itself.
I see.
The requirement is saying that the validation is done when an action is performed using the submit button. So you have to think accordingly. So what are your test cases, possible cases? First one? Yeah.
Test case should be to determine if you can sign into your page.
Yeah. On what basis?
Unvalid.
Unvalid. First
Credentials.
one. First test case corresponding to this requirements would be valid login,
Validity. Validation.
login, valid credentials. And test the login functionality with valid credentials. Okay. Second one. I'm even testing the login functionality. Now,
Invalid credentials.
invalid credentials. Now, when I say invalid credentials, you have two segments here. Invalid credentials can be because of your username or because of your password. So, what I say login, invalid username, valid password. Making sense? Likewise, login, valid username, invalid password. Fourth step, login functionality, both are invalid. Invalid username, invalid password. Alright? What is the fifth one?
No.
We have one more.
Invalid.
Blank.
Blank.
Huh?
Blank.
So fifth one, login, blank username, valid password. Sixth one, login, valid username, blank password. Seventh one, login, blank username, blank password. Okay. So what are your expected results out of all these 7 steps? First step, what is your expected result here? Login should happen, right? Here login should be successful. What about this?
Your message.
What message? Message is specific important.
Invalid.
Invalid credentials. Right? Invalid credentials. Even this one, invalid credentials. Even this, invalid credentials. But here, when you come here, the message differs. What is the message here? Please fill mandatory details. The same thing. The same thing. Right? Now, to test only login functionality, you have a single set of requirements. But for that requirement, you are coming up with 7 different cases to test to see whether it is working fine or not. Alright, now here, invalid username. How many invalid usernames are you going to give? You do not have only a single invalid username.
Yeah.
But you have a combination.
Combinations, yeah.
Then how are you going to test this? Will you execute or will you say another case for invalid username with so and so length and so? Do you do that?
No, just use one invalid.
Only one. So what happens if the other invalid username? If the user login happened with another invalid username, another combination?
Yeah, I'm within your limitation. That's what I mean.
Within your limitation. Okay. If I say here invalid username, okay. This is my invalid username. Why?
Because
length is less than 6.
Yeah.
Alright? This less than 6, so it is invalid. Now what about other inputs? Less than 15. No, there is no maximum length.
There's no maximum.
So what about the other limits? Like only Durga, only numbers.
Yeah.
What about other limits?
You have to develop test cases for those at the macro level, right?
Okay. So what should you do in the micro level? You are reaching to the point.
To make nice test cases.
So what we do is we re-execute the same test case again and again with a different set of inputs. Okay. So in order to do that, what we do is we keep all these particular data. This is nothing but your test data, right?
Okay, yeah.
So we say within the test case like test data. Under test data, we give all these possible combinations of invalid input. Now, when you give these possible combinations of invalid input, it means that this test case has to be executed again and again to cover all these particular test data.
From your area test case, bring them back into this one. That's what we're talking about, right?
No, within the same test case, you'll be having this method. I'll show you how to mention that.
Yeah, you have to complete like second step and those three subset.
Yeah, first what you do is, okay, you'll pick this one, invalid scenario. DORG the file and you assume that Sai Baba is the correct password. So you give Sai Baba. You hit the enter submit button, you'll see a message like invalid credentials. Again you repeat the same step again with this input, Durga. Again you repeat the same step with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Again you repeat with all the special characters. So that means you're still on the second test case, but you're repeating it again and again. Why are you doing that? To cover all these particular scenarios. Otherwise, what it has to be done? You have to draft each and everything for all the combinations.
Yes.
That will make you, what do you say? Make your test cases longer, right? It doesn't make any value. You can cover everything in one single case, and where you can repeat the same case for all your combinations. Okay. Now, the thing why am I not projecting into the very minute level is we are projecting ourselves as an experienced person.
Yeah.
We should not be writing the things in the basic level. Right? These steps are followed by a fresher. He does in the basic level. Nowadays, freshers are also not following. They're also coming out. They're also standing up to the mark of an experience. They're also doing the same things. Okay. So cut down the steps as far as you could in a manner that it is going to do the same action as it used to do in the other way. Making sense? Yes.
Good question. Even if you eliminate those, the subset of work, but it's still you have to execute all of these scenarios, right?
All of these scenarios. Then because you have your test data, right?
Yeah.
You're not repeating the same case. You're just mentioning over there and you're saying the test data. That means the data with which this particular test case needs to be re-executed again to see the functionality.
So just like backup manager, when you put 3-4 times the wrong user and password, right? The page is blocked and we should call.
The page is blocked. The requirement ends there. The next set of requirement to unblock an account, you have to call the customer care. That is another set of requirement. Now, there in that particular condition, you are checking whether your user ID is getting logged on 3 invalid password attempts. Making sense? On the 4th, you will see that page logged or whatever it is, blocked or whatever it is. The next set of requirement would be making it unlocking. Unlocking is another feature where you have to make a call and get it unlocked. Right? So we'll see how am I going to put these things within a test case now.
Okay, so,
Yes.
If the two is invalid and it doesn't get login, and the third one if it gets
I got your
login,
point. This test case failed. Either it is a combination of one input or all the inputs. It should not make you log in. That is what I'm meaning.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Either it is the case of one input or all the inputs. You should not be able to you should not be able to log into that particular. So when you log in, then the other point of her is, like let's say with the combination of these numbers, you have made a login attempt.
Yeah.
Then what you can give, you can say that this application is making you a login when user is providing numbers. Only numbers.
Oh, okay.
Because you have validated this scenario. So invalid login is not happening with only characters or with less than 6. But when you are providing only numbers, you are made login into that. So in one way, with the help of your test data, you can even help the developer what exactly the problem is. What was the set of input that you have used and for which this particular situation failed? Right? So if you provide this, then he'll check the code correspondingly whether he is blocking the allowing of only numbers or not. He can check in that scenario. Right? So we'll just put in the test case, and we'll understand it. All right. All right. Yeah, sure. So what are we trying to test here? login functionality. All right. Valid
credentials.
Valid credentials. So this test case is to test the login or is to validate whatever you wanted to. You can say okay. Validate the login functionality using valid credentials. All right. So what you have to do first?
First, type in username and password, right?
Launch the application.
Yeah, I mean that's a precondition.
Okay, if you say that, then it's not a problem. Launch the application. All right. User should see login page. Right. What is the next one? Enter valid username and password in username and password fields. Password box or fields, whatever you say. It's your own way, so there is nothing. So when you enter, what should happen? Simple. Field should accept the data. Or even I can cut short that particular step. Enter valid username and password in username and password fields and hit submit button. Instead of me or instead of we repeating that particular hit submit button in the step 3, you can even include over there. Yeah. So what should happen? Right. User should be logged in successfully. Done. Positive case is done. Positive case will have only one particular area. It's done. Right? Now, will positive case has got only one area?
What did you say?
Positive case has got only one area. Think. There is something else that we need to include. Positive entry?
It's like we can just use the minimum value and
perfect
values and
test data. Give the test data because username has got only one entry. Like positive data would be only one combination. Like it could be a combination of your characters and numbers, and the minimum length is 6. So you can just go with one. All right, or you can go with many. You're up to it. But password has got positive conditions as 8, 15, and a value in between that you're choosing. Right. So you have to repeat this particular case for all the 3 inputs. Right. Making sense? Yeah. Username. I'll say Durga 5. Okay, is meeting my criteria. Yeah. What about password now?
Password 5-8.
All right. So password 8 kada. Durga at the rate of 99. It's valid. Right. Satish at the rate of 99. It's valid. In between value. Durga Satish at the rate 99. It's valid. It's 15. So this test case needs to be executed
for three different successful scenarios.
Successful scenarios of your password. Okay, making sense? Yes. Same is the case now. Now what we have to do? We have to test with invalid username and valid password. Login functionality. Invalid username and valid password. So what are your invalid username? Now you can just make one password. I'm just concentrating on valid password. Okay. Now invalid username. What are your possible combinations of invalid username? Yeah. Duke 5 is an invalid for me. Durga Satish is invalid. Is invalid. Is invalid. Now blank, you have a certain requirement for it, like we listed out here.
It's a separate test case.
Separate test case. Why it is a separate test case? If it is a blank, the error message is different. It's not the same message. For invalid credentials, that means if you enter anything that is invalid, you have a corresponding message displayed there. Okay? Right? So, user should be seen with invalid credentials message, or invalid credentials message should be displayed whatever the way that you want it to. Now a quick question, is the message proper invalid credentials?
No, you could say either username or password. You know, most of these applications say you have invalid username /
but
password.
It is clear that we are giving a username as invalid.
That's not a right message credentials.
Why can't we say invalid username? Don't you think?
Why valid entry?
No.
Well,
Answer this.
I think we can say invalid username.
Why can't we say invalid username directly instead of saying invalid credentials? When I say invalid credentials, user may get confused, right?
Yeah.
Which is invalid, username or password? He may get confused, right?
Yeah.
So the message invalid credentials is not right, and invalid username will be proper, right?
So this is the I'm using this as an analogy. The username is home and the password is key of the home, right? You cannot say like user should invalid home or something like that.
What happens if you say that?
Because it's a combination. So you just
you are correctly to the point. But what happens if you say your home is not correct?
Everybody knows that password, username. The home is not only say they directly say, right? If other people also knows that.
Correct point. Now this message is appropriate. Invalid credentials or username or password invalid is proper. Why this is a proper? You see a lot of hacking things happening around security. Now when I say it's invalid username, that means there might be a user who is holding this key called password. Now what the hacker would do, he creates a script with the combination of this particular password. He runs a script that generates a number of user IDs. Now it's a script. If it generates a number of user ID, there would be one point where his user ID and a password gets a match. And he'll be able to log in into that application. That is why wherever you check it in your Gmail or any of your applications, they say invalid credentials or username or password invalid. They'll not say pinpointly that username is invalid or password is invalid. If they say, then application is highly vulnerable. That means highly insecure application. Do not register into such a kind of applications. You may lose your data. Okay? So invalid credentials is the proper message. Yes. You have any? Good. Fine. Same is the case. Repeated. Valid username, invalid password. It will be a cut, copy, paste. What are all your invalid passwords? Give all your invalid passwords here. This is my invalid. This is my invalid. Yeah, this is my invalid. First one is invalid because there is no special character. Second one is invalid because it's less than 8. Third one is invalid because it's more than 15, 16 in length. Alright? This is my invalid. Okay. It's my invalid. Invalid. Only characters, only numbers. Okay. And then what else we have? Combination of it, right? Invalid. 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 Again the same message. Now next time what do you do? Take a copy of it.
Yeah.
Same thing. So this is how you would be writing your test cases for a login functionality. Okay, are you good? Any questions?
When you put the password, right? Password is not because hiding. What do we call that? It's just like you put the number, right?
Hashing out. Hashing out your password. That means your password will not be seen by any other person. It's a key. Hashing out. Okay. Is it clear?
Yeah.
So are you good to go with an assignment now? Ready? When I give the assignment, I'll definitely expect a reply for that assignment. Okay.
Good question.
Yes, please.
So you write these test cases before the developers complete their work?
Perfect. Perfect. You'll be writing your test cases based on your system requirement specification document. Okay. Now, the purpose of this assignment is to make you think negatively. You should be starting thinking negatively, and that is the main purpose of this particular assignment. Say gmail.com, whatever you click on create an account. Okay. Now, what I need from you is prepare the requirements documentation of this particular create your Gmail account.
So you reverse engineering?
Yes, that will give you the negative conditions, the way you are going to figure out all the negative inputs or whatever it is, whatever the conditions that needs to be present for each and every field, or that needs to be having for each and every field. For example, I'll just give you one example. The one set of requirement is, I'm repeating it, Sonija. Example, for one set of requirement is, you are creation of a password and confirming your password, both should be one and the same. Like let's say, I say Sai Baba @9. If I say this Sai Baba @1, this is one of the requirements. So how did I come to know about this particular requirement? When I am testing with invalid inputs. Okay. Likewise, birth date, another example for you. See that? Why is it an invalid?
Because 2016.
Because it means you were born
2015, it's not 16.
Yeah, 15. Yeah. It's
That's
today.
16?
Yeah,
It's today. A person born today is trying to create a Gmail account.
Yeah.
A person who is born today is trying to create a Gmail account. So what does Gmail trying to do here? Age limit. Now try all your possible combinations. Come up with the age limit of it. They did not specify any age limit. Now come out. You have to try it. Come out. What is the age limit that Gmail has specified? Okay. Likewise, do all the possible combinations. Think negatively. See, your positive requirements would be simple thing. Okay, provide your username, valid this one. So what stands as valid, what stands as invalid is my requirement. Clear?
Yep.
Sorry, one more time.
Okay, within this particular fields, I'm talking about only these fields, nothing else. I don't want about these validations, I mean this logo presents, nothing. I just need only the creation account box that you see here. Name, first and last, confirm your username, create a password, confirm password, birthday, gender, mobile phone, current email address, and the CAPTCHA. This is called as your CAPTCHA. Okay. Now, I need all these particular steps, including next step. What happens if you hit next step with invalid combinations? How is it? Is the validations happening at the field level or at the action level? I need everything to be documented. Like I had documented in this way, right? Yeah. Same is the way you can document your steps.
But don't write test cases, just write it.
Yeah, do not write test cases. Okay. The main reason why am I asking you to do is you'll be starting thinking negatively from this assignment right away. Okay, so whenever you get an application to be tested, you'll definitely have your negative inputs. So you'll be moving forward with it. Not test cases, requirements. Requirements. See, this is requirements, right? These are requirements, right? I want such kind of a requirements for this application. Create an account Gmail application. So, can I expect it tomorrow?
Yeah.
Okay.
Before that, yeah, so I don't receive any email for the last class, so this one.
Yeah, that's.
Yes,
okay, fine. I'll come to a solution for it.
I think we can check it right now. We get
we check everything, you say it's
Why don't you check your junk or spam?
Yeah, we check it.
You don't have it?
No.
See, one day if you receive, it is obvious that you should be receiving it the next day. Nevertheless, let's forget that.
I'm the only who haven't received any time.
Okay, no problem. We started our classes from 6th, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Give me all your email IDs, please. BINDHYA.
Dot NEUTANE.
Then E.
Yeah. one.
Okay.
NE1 @gmail.com.
Okay, next one. ARTHUR. Max5. Yes. Skill. I believe you got it.
The first one, yeah. The first day.
Yes. You got everything right? Not an issue. You got everything?
No, I haven't gotten the last Thursday one.
Thursday one. Okay. You got everything perfect.
Okay.
You people are lucky.
Starting mine as well.
Oh, who's Alice Smith?
Huh?
Who's Alice Smith?
Amy?
Yeah, Alice Smith?
No, I'm not. That might be sent by Arvind.
Somebody forwarded it.
Yes.
Mine is Acharya 901.
You got 3 mails. So Sonija, you're good, right? Or how? Right, online. Everyone got the emails, right? For the first class notes.
Yeah.
All right, super. All right, so this has got perfect. Done. Sent 6th రోజు తీసుకున్నాను 7th ఇది Seventh, I did not prepare anything, right? Yes. So You got the notes on 8th. Everyone got it, right? No?
The first four.
Right?
6.
6.
No.
6, I got it. After that, I got it.
Come on. System. All right. So, then only 3 people, right? You haven't got anything? Acharya, you got an email, I know that. Okay, Acharya?
9011.
9011.
Can you type in mine as well?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
ARUN dot America AMERIC at gmail.com.
Okay, 8. Then we had on 9th, right?
I just received it.
Sushil Acharya. Okay, 2 skills. Yep. Come on. Enough memory. Many applications are running on my system. God. Okay, I'll resend you that one. I'll send you the test cases once I go home, okay?
Okay.
Right? So you should be getting only today's class notes, which I'll send once I go home, okay?
Alright.
I'll create that. Along with that, I'll send you the requirements as well. This requirements, the requirements that we have discussed. Do not go deep into that. If at all you go, just try to understand deep into that particular requirements, because we are going to work on these things tomorrow. Okay, this will have many negative testing scenarios. If you go, it is perfect. You can go, you can understand it. If you do not go, we'll cover it tomorrow. Okay. We'll understand it and we'll move forward. Okay.
Which one is down?
The requirements. Okay, so I already have it here. Okay, super. So well, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Sure. Thanks for your time today.
Yeah.
Thank you. Have a good night.
That's the night.